If you love the United States, have ever loved the United States, or have ever sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, this video is for you, and you need to listen to the entire thing. The founding fathers of the United States, the ones who wrote all our original legal documents that created this nation, predicted the exact predicament that we are in and that we are facing today as a nation. And they secured in the Constitution of the United States ways to remediate our current situation. Now, all you Second Amendment thumpers who like to take pretty photos with guns, don't start deleting your Second Amendment posts quite yet, because I'm not talking about an armed insurrection or overthrowing the government. So your posts where you have pretty little pictures, but you're actually too much of a pussy to do anything, don't worry, I got your back. You see, the founding fathers were coming out of a monarchy where the king ruled everything and the king's word was law. So they decided to build the United States in a similar fashion, but with checks and balances, right? So in the Constitution of the United States, they allow for what is called a constitutional convention. Now, the way they set it up, informally and formally, is that the federal government can call a constitutional convention and reform the government or recreate the government if they want to. If the federal government fails to reform or recreate the government, the states can come together and abolish the federal government and reform or recreate it as they see fit by creating a new constitution. Now, as a check bounce on that, in a last case, last ditch effort, the founders of the Constitution said the people themselves, if both the federal government and the state governments fail the people and become abusive to the people themselves can rise up and overthrow the government and replace it with something that is not abusive. However, we have not reached that point. We have barely even reached the point where we're giving the federal government an opportunity to reform itself. I don't believe it needs to be recreated at this time, but it does need major reforms. If you've sworn to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, you swore to help the citizens of the United States recreate or reform the government when it becomes abusive. And we have seen growing levels of abuse towards American citizens over the past time period. Now is the time to demand the federal government be reformed or recreated. The founding fathers predicted this exact scenario, and they empowered the people to abolish the government if it becomes abusive, and it has become abusive. Your federal politicians have the ability and capability to reform the government through amendments to the Constitution or through recreating the Constitution. I have traveled the United States, met many, many people. I have traveled abroad to Europe, to Asia, to Australia. I have studied how people interact with their governments informally. I have authored the Freedom Constitution, which is a collection of policies that can be used either individually as policies or in whole to help reform and reconstitute the government into something that isn't abusive towards the American people. I have read many of the constitutions that people across the nation have created. Many are very sophomoric. The Freedom Constitution is not. It is comprehensive. It encompasses all of the policies that I have heard from West Coast to East Coast, from the Deep South to the Pacific Northwest. Everything that the American citizens have complained about is included in the Freedom Constitution. I recommend you read it and you urge your national politicians to work towards passing some of the policies in the Freedom Constitution which speak to your specific communities. It is time to stop the abuse the federal government is inflicting on American citizens. And if you swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, it is your requirement to help reform the government, to find policies that will force the federal government to stop abusing American citizens. I am backing the policies in the Freedom Constitution because I have firsthand knowledge that those policies were directly created from the mouths of citizens from coast to coast. But they are not the only policies that are applicable or available. There are many great ideas. But the thing that has to happen is a reform of the federal government to ensure that every citizen in the United States receives safety without oppression. It is your job, America, to ensure that the federal government stops abusing its citizens. The time to act is now. The time to reform the government is now. The time to hold politicians accountable is now. The time for safety for every single American is now.